Hi everybody, how you doing? I am Lady Stars and Fire. My real name is Michelle Espinosa, and this is the astrology, and I'm going to give you the runes part of the healing messages for October 1st through the 8th. Now, if you usually like to hear the information that is given by Spirit, I'm only going to give you the animals in this video. You'd have to come back for the next video because I'm still going through a little bit of information. I have some Hebrew and Arabic I've got to verify because I'm a little confused on it that I got to go back and talk to Spirit about before I can make that video. However, the rest of it I'm going to put right here at the astrology, and I'm going to give you some of the animal information as well as tell you what the runes are for this upcoming week. And I know last week there was all kinds of energy, and I warned everybody with Jupiter moving, because Jupiter's going to be in the cusp this week of Libra and Scorpio, and it's going to be in the cusp all week because next week Jupiter makes its yearly move. So it's feeling both energies right now, Jupiter is, of Libra and Scorpio, and that is a good thing, but that might be also bringing on some different changes that are going on, but I'll get back to that. However, I also warned you last week, Pluto was going direct, and it had been in retrograde for quite a while. And I warned everybody that when Pluto went direct, that basically from the time it had been in retrograde, if it was trying to get something through your thick head that you weren't understanding, you weren't hearing, you weren't getting, you just didn't receive the memo for whatever reason, between the two of them, it was going to be like a little bit of like a slap upside of your head, trying to go, are you hearing me now? This shit has to change. To help get you on the proper right way. And for a lot of people, not everybody, some people that really turned out to be a very good, positive thing, even though it felt like it came out of left field. And some people, some of that stuff that Pluto had to give as it went direct, felt like it hit a little bit underneath the belt. You know, like a good drop kick to the stomach, overwhelmingness, fearfulness of things that had to change. And I'm being reminded, some of this has to do with old attachments that we have, or that we've created for ourselves, that we've gotten comfortable with, that really aren't helping us in any way, shape, or form. And it's time to let go of that attachment because maybe we're holding on to it and it's not meant to take us in the right place. And a lot of times, people, when they think of attachments, they think of like people or spirit and energy. But sometimes, I mean, it's so right in front of your face, but you're not seeing it. Like for me, I'll share this with me. I'm starting to realize it's time to find a new home. And that was what Pluto had to tell me. I mean, we have things with the home being in some ill repair, and it's just kind of dumb to keep something that's going to continue to cause a problem when you can move and solve the problem. And so I'm starting to notice things like this may be exactly the situation that you're undergoing, that you're dealing with. I mean, maybe it has to do with your job or something. What I'm trying to say is Pluto may have hit you underneath the belt a little bit, but you need to try to see it as a blessing in disguise. See the silver lining in it, and take you in the positive way from here on out. May have, if you got that, you know, drop kick to the gut, basically, between Jupiter and Pluto from its movement, basically, last week, it was meant to be that way. See it as a blessing in disguise and start finding that silver lining. Start putting yourself on, because right before I came out here, Spirit kept reminding me of, there's a country song. There's a country song that, and I don't know the name of it, but if you listen to country music, you'll know what song I'm talking about. It's the song when it goes, oh Lord, when it rains, it pours. And basically, you usually hear of when it rains, it pours, you think of it being a bad thing. And in the song, basically, the guy and the girl broke up, and from the moment they broke up, everything started turning positive for him. Now, I'm not saying to point fingers at anybody else, but I'm saying sometimes what you think is the end of the world That's really the biggest problem, is exactly what needed to happen so that the best thing can start to happen. So it's the blessing in disguise. And I'm being told, because that song is what they're using. They use music a lot because when they use words to me, and I usually can't understand spirit as well. So they use symbols and songs and stuff to get my attention. What they're trying to tell you basically is don't give yourself the, oh, woe is me, for, things that have happened. Start seeing it for the silver lining and manifest yourself in the direction of, I'm on a winning streak. Like, this is a blessing. These are good things happening. I might be a little fearful and scared about the change. I'm not sure exactly where we're going with it. But you know what? This is a winning streak. This is a positive thing. I'm lucky. And instead of allowing yourself to tell yourself things that might bring you down, flip the script and tell yourself things that will bring you up. Okay, now as far as the animals I'm going to give you, I'm going to tell you that on my way out here I was told also to give you fly as a spirit guide. So you might want to Google what fly as a spirit guide may bring to you, or its power or its totem, and see if that might bring you some help in some way. But I am also given the white stag for the week, for the animals. And that speaks to us of the divine helping us, of divinity. For me, it also speaks to me, it deals with the tree of life as well, and Gaia. So, depending on who you are, that white stag might have different meanings within your life. But if you don't know what that is, by all means, go Google that as well. Now, I'm going to give you the runes, and then I'm going to go into the astrology. But the runes were already posted on Facebook and on Twitter and everything else. However, I wanted to make sure that I brought it in because I really feel that it fits with the astrology this week, as well as going to fit with the information that Spirit is giving me to be given by Spirit. The runes are Pethro. There's actually 4 runes, but Pethro is the number 1 rune here. Even though you may not fully be in Pethro, this depends on your free will. Pethro is the chess piece. It is speaking to you about actually motivating yourself and tempting fate. Creating one's own fortune. Taking those chances and overindulgences that you maybe normally don't do. It speaks to us also of bonding of psyche and soma. And that's the number 1 because some of us still have to get to that understanding and that motivation of actually starting to go through with it and set those situations into motion. And I do feel like a lot of this energy that's going to be changing right now, because I feel like I'm being told through astrology and everything else that it's like the second chance, the second coming of you. It's the finding of your own personal righteousness to restart, and that has a lot to do with this, with Uranus being in Aries, and it's on its last limb of Aries. It's still in retrograde right now, but I'll still come back for that. But so you have Prethro. If I can learn to talk, I swear. We have that one speaking to us of stepping out of our comfort zone. Because right now, it's very important for you to be, or to start to find how to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. And as you do that, you're going to start to find these major changes are going to start to happen in your life. They may not happen just yet. They may have to have some working, some tweaking to get you there. However, you need to be starting in that direction before it all comes into play. Because we are given Birkenau, which speaks to us of the very shape shifting, speaks to us of the new beginnings and the growth and rebirth from what was, from learning to let go and exercise it from our lives, from, the cleansing of it, removing of it from our life, so that the new can become the hero in the life into the new beginning. We're also given Sowilo, which speaks to us of finding that new clear direction, finding our personal sense of self-worth, the clarity itself too, and of pursuing those very goals. But I'm also giving Radio, which speaks to us of order and justice. change through preparation. Like I said, this is a moment of preparation. You're not there yet. We're tweaking how to make it happen to get there. And it's speaking to us of it also being a ruin of self-order and measured change. You can check the website, or you can check my website, because I have a little bit of information on each one of the runes to give you a little bit more of a clue what might be helping you in your life directly. Or you can check on like Facebook and whatnot, where I've posted the information on social media. Now, this, as I go into astrology, I'm gonna walk you through it the best that I can. But I often put out there, and when I do like readings for people personally, I call myself typically I call myself like a clairvoyant astrologer. And that's because I don't necessarily see things the way other astrologers do. And that's because often when I am, like I said, I don't hear spirit so well. So when spirit works with me, they have to show me things, change things, put them in my third eye, outline stuff, give me symbols. And they do this with astrology. So sometimes I don't see what other astrologers see, because when I'm looking at the astrology chart, spirit actually moves stuff around so that I'm getting the information they want me to get. And this is why I call myself the clairvoyant astrologer, because I'm actually working with spirit, not just the chart, when I do this. And the reason I'm explaining that is because this week is one of those weeks where when I'm looking at the chart, that's exactly what's happening. And I'm walking you through what the chart itself says, but I'm going to walk you through what spirit is pointing out within the astrology, because I have the positives and the challenges, written down and what they mean. However, when I'm seeing the chart this week, spirit is giving me like 3 symbols on top of one another as they get smaller. And what they're giving me is like the triangle. Okay, most people, not triangle, the diamond. Most people see it as a diamond. All 4 sides. Except for they flipped it. For me, I'm seeing a diamond this way, sideways. Now, when we get into what spiritual meanings are for the diamond has so many meanings. But altogether, it comes to oneness. It comes to unity. It comes to your 4 directions and your 4 elements within you. It deals with, illumination. It deals with wholeness. It deals with, ascension, basically. Even though they're showing it to me sideways, which also in Native American, I believe, stands for wind. Because they're showing me it sideways. And what they're pointing out is Juno at the top. And when they point out Juno at the top, they're turning that into like a Sagittarius sign. And a Sagittarius sign also looks like an arrow, except for it's sideways and they're turning it upright. So they're giving me like the arrow, but they're showing me, I guess, like the Sagittarius energy that I always call Sagittarius Tomb Raider or Indiana Jones, because it wants to learn, it wants to experience, it wants to try, it wants to, and it has the energy of fire. I mean, it's impulsive, it's aggressive, it's passionate, it's fire. But they're pointing this diamond and that arrow to Juno. And when I look, I'm being reminded Juno is only within, which is extremely strong. Juno is exactly within 10 degrees this week of Pluto. Okay? Pluto is still in shadow. Pluto may have gone direct, but remember, Pluto still speaks to us normally of death, decay, and destruction, for rebirth, renewal, and regeneration, which means change. Now, with it not being in retrograde anymore, that punch is not there, okay? It's still showing you what it always shows you, but it's not pushing you over the cliff trying to show you it anymore. However, in shadow, it's still going to bring up those dark situations for the next week or so as it moves itself out of shadow. So it's not pushing you over the ledge, so to speak, to get it through your thick head, but now it is still showing you some of those darker energies that you need to acknowledge, so that within what it is that is death, decay, and destruction that you need to let go of in your life. Like I said, showing me that it's smarter to move, smarter to start looking for a new home than to try to fix something that I can't afford to fix. You know, different situations may be different for you. It may be a new job. It could be so many different situations depending on where Pluto is in your personal house. But it's going to still be pointing out those sensitive, dark areas for the next week because it is in shadow, week and a half. But like I said, Spirit is showing me this diamond, and they're showing me pointing it at Juno. I went over all of that because with it being in 10 degrees of Juno, that makes these two energies very harmonious right now. And Juno is what I actually call love. People always say that Venus is love, and I disagree. Because Venus is your sensitivity, your touches, what you like, what you don't, why you like it, why you don't. Why it's sensitive to you, good or bad. Juno is the commitment. Juno is the one that you marry. Juno is the marrying energy. Juno is the sacrifice that made the commitment, basically. And Juno is highly vibrating with Jupiter right now into that sacrifice. Take that sacrifice. Be committed to that change. And these two energies are speaking to Chiron, which is the wounded healer in this diamond that they are showing me. The wounded healer is speaking to the very sacrifice of what needs to be done to get over Jupiter's hump, to start making the things come into a new creation good. Because in the universal house, Pluto is also speaking to us in that universal 10th house, which speaks to us of the community, of our life. That's really what the community is, isn't it? I mean, it's outwardly how things are viewed, as well as for yourself. I mean, if you're in a community that's not good for you, then it's going to go against you. Basically, it can't help you. It's like they say, you can't have a positive life when you're around negative people. It's the same kind of idea. Chiron is in that universal 12th house, which is the end so the beginning can start. The Alpha and the Omega, basically. And it's got Chiron there speaking to Juno about the commitment and the changes that Pluto is trying to enforce. But the moon is going to be traveling through this energy that week, which is going to touch on that sensitivity at the same time. Now, that diamond is also speaking over to Jupiter. Jupiter is in the cusp all week long of Libra and Scorpio. Now, that means our universal 7th and 8th house until you get into your own personal astrology. And the 7th house and Jupiter in the 7th house of Libra was speaking to us all last year about our relationships and how to balance them. What is out of balance, and seeing what it is that we need to bring into balance. Harmonizing the balance, basically, instead of where things are not working out well for us within our relationships. And I always say our relationships are anything that we care about. So I'm not talking about just your friends, your husband, your wife, your children. I'm talking about your job, your car, your money. Anything you care about, you have a relationship to. And Jupiter is magnifying it. And it's magnifying it for its last chance because it's leaving Libra. It's magnifying those last little bits of what it is that you need to see to create harmony within those relationships. However, as it moves into Scorpio, this is the universal 8th house, which is what is responsible for what those relationships own. And that would deal with childcare. That would deal with child support. That would also deal with your home, your rent, your mortgage. That would deal with taxes, divorce, anything that the relationships own, period. in that sense, could also deal with, cars and stuff along that line. Anything that the two come together and own as one is what Jupiter is going into. Perfect timing for them to be showing me I need to move. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It shows itself. It's the stars. It's the universe talking to us in a oneness, and we have to work with it so that we can evolve with them, is the best way of how I can put that. But, so you've got Jupiter, 7th and 8th house, Libra, and Scorpio. Scorpio is highly sensitive energy, is intense energy, but it's also considered sex and shit, especially within the body. And I put it that way because it deals with those organs. It deals with the organs. That's why Scorpio is always seen as sex and shit, because it's your organs. It's of fertility. But see, that's the key here. It's also fertile. Okay? So it speaks to us of rebirthing within those relationships and what they own. Okay? Chiron is speaking to us of healing those relationships. Juno is asking us to take the total commitment and the sacrifice it needs to create it in a harmony way. And Jupiter is asking you to leave out and let go of what is dead, death, decay, and destruction to you. Like I said, some things, it's not meant for us to fix. Sometimes it's meant for us to go in a new direction. And that's what Pluto's been trying to tell us. However, the bottom of the diamond that I'm being shown is, there's no planet there. They're sending me directly to the Cancer sign, which is nurturing. It also puts us in the universal house of home, of the 4th house. But it also speaks to us of our personal karmic debts. It speaks to us of the home of who and what we are. So it's a oneness, even though it's coming in at a sideways direction. It's not coming in a pretty diamond upright. It's coming in as a sideways diamond. And what they're showing me is that energy of moving up with that, it's not a cross, with like the Sagittarius sign, with the, arrow, basically, of ascending into that direction. But they're putting in the center of that diamond, is what they're showing me, is that Mars energy, that aggressive energy, the fire, the passion, the sun, Vista. And, well, Vista is our fire anyway. The sun is our core, and how it is we're seen, or we wish to be seen, and how it is we see ourselves. It is your very core energy. And they put Mercury there. So this is an inner self communication with ourselves from the inside out. Okay, is what they are telling me. Is no matter what else I tell you here in astrology for this week, they're saying this. This is what Spirit is saying. This is what they're pointing out for us. Even though I said there's another spiritual reading this week, there is. This is directly only what Spirit is saying about astrology, so I left it in astrology. They are saying you want to take that Mercury, that sun, that Vista, and you want to mix it with your Mars and your senses, and inwardly you're evaluating and talking to yourself about what it is you truly need for that wholeness, that soulfulness, for the clarity from within, so that you can make those changes in the positive way within our life. But everything points to Juno, and everything points to the Mars on the regular astrology. Not Juno. Everything points to Sagittarius, which is where Lilith is, and boundaries are Saturn in regular astrology. But the difference is like I said, I'm given the diamond, with the diamond pointing to Juno, saying right now it's about standing firmly in that commitment and that sacrifice that you want in order to make these changes go forth. Because Spirit is saying if you don't stand by that commitment, basically you're given the option for like a new coming in your life, a new beginning in your life, for all the good luck and all the changes to come to your life. But if you aren't ready to put your free will into making it happen, then it won't, is what they are saying. Now, if I go into regular astrology this week, Pluto and Lilith everything automatically first looks at Pluto and Lilith, which is in Capricorn. Capricorn also speaks to us about building those proper foundations, period. About what it is that you have to have the authority to create those proper foundations, the strength, the firmness of being able to do it. Capricorn can be a little bit rigid, because it can sometimes not necessarily show its loving way, because it has to be the authority figure in creating the foundation. And it's pointing to Lilith. Pluto is pointing to Lilith and Lilith and Saturn in Sagittarius. These two are communicating basically about Lilith is your dark moon, but she's the passionate fire energy of you can't make me do what I want to do, period. She's the strength there. She can use all of that core energy for the right reasons if you use her the right way. You just got to stay out of the narcissistic, ego-driven, self-centered side. You got to remember, sometimes we do need to be a little self-centered because we do have to care about us. We do need to set those boundaries and those rules within. Those two are really close together, of Lilith and Saturn. We need to set those proper boundaries and rules as we make these changes. But we want to make sure that we're making them for the right reasons, not just narcissistic reasons and self-centered reasons. We want to make sure we're making them from the heart and soul of what it is we truly want within our life. And for that reason, it's okay to be self-centered, because you need to take care of you. If you can't take care of you, then you can't help anybody else. It's that simple. So it's just asking you to do it from a mature spiritual level, not from the childish spiritual level, which is narcissisticness. And we also have Mars and Venus is speaking to Lilith and Saturn, which is in Sagittarius as well. Like I said, Sagittarius wants you to be adventurous. It's Indiana Jones, it's Tomb Raider. It's wanting you to take those chances with those rules and those boundaries. Lilith is pushing you. Lilith is saying, yes, if this is what we want in our life, you do it. And she ain't going to think twice about it. And I'm just saying, yes, listen to her. She's pushing you in those directions to set those new boundaries, those new rules, to make those new changes that Pluto is pushing forward. But make sure you're doing it from soulful, heartful reasons within your life so that you can be the better person outwardly. Not just because you're narcissistic. Okay? Because we all have a little bit of narcissisticness in us. Don't act like you're above everybody else. We all have it in us. We all have the ability of both light and dark. That's yin and yang. Now, like I said, Mars and Venus is speaking to this Lilith and Saturn energy. And this is aggressive fire, passion, action. But at the same time, Venus, like I said, I don't call Venus love. Venus is our senses. Venus is going to let you know what it is you're doing for the right reasons because she likes it. It makes her feel good. It makes her feel comfortable. It makes her feel cozy. Versus, no, I'm uncomfortable and I really don't like this. I really don't like this. I really don't like this. Basically, that's because Venus, when you get hurt and something hurts and it's painful, that's Venus telling you, stop doing that shit because it hurts. Basically. So Venus and Mars are coming together in this energy as these new boundaries and these ballsy chances of taking those new directions, which is Pethro coming out basically in you. They're pushing those energies forward, but Venus is there to show you when you're getting it wrong. And Mars is there to defend you at the same time. You just need to know how to use those energies in a positive way and listen to your gut. Remember, I tell you all the time, sometimes we got to learn to understand our body because our gut sometimes isn't telling you that this is a bad thing. Sometimes we get that stirring in our gut, that overwhelmingness, because overwhelmingness can be fearful. It's a change of something you're not sure about. And if you're not doing it because you're afraid of it, that's a whole different story than your body and your intuition telling you that this is a wrong decision. That's you overcoming your fear. There is a difference there, and you need to understand that. Now, you also have Lilith and Saturn are speaking to Chiron this week. Lilith and Saturn are speaking to Chiron, which is the wounded healer. Again, they're speaking to you of overcoming those wounds that have kept you from moving forward. What had broken you in certain areas in your life? What had made you make those attachments in your life that you've held on to so hard that aren't serving you anymore? This is what Chiron is going to be talking about as it's talking to Lilith and Saturn. I am tongue-tied today, but it's going to be talking about letting go of those attachments and why it's not necessarily necessary to hold on to them and how they're not actually serving you, so that Lilith can fuse your fire into changing for what it is you need to go through with within these boundaries and these new rules that you're setting and creating for your life. Now, Lilith and Saturn is also sextiling Jupiter. Jupiter is going to magnify this energy. Like I said, this is why Spirit is showing me the diamond with all that stuff going on in the center. This is inward evaluation so that the outward life can take place the way it should. Or the way you want it to. But it's free will that chooses if it's going to do that. Jupiter speaking to Lilith and Saturn in both. Jupiter, remember, is on the cusp. So right now it's in Libra and Scorpio. It's sensitive. It's going to really pick things apart. But it's also doing it so that you can be fertile about what you're creating. And it's also got that energy still going on from Libra about what is out of harmony so that you can finally pinpoint it just right and start to create that harmony as Lilith and Saturn are creating those new rules, those boundaries, as well as giving you the balls to break those attachments that aren't serving you as you change it. Chiron itself and Neptune are speaking to Pluto and Juno. Like I said, the diamond that they were showing me is talking about that too. It's speaking of those very, the wounded healer, speaking to the creation of magic. That's Neptune. Neptune creates magic. And it creates magic for the positive and for the negative. Are you holding on to the nostalgia that's no longer good for you? The attachment. Neptune can create such pure, beautiful magic. Or it can create the recycle again of the nostalgia you refuse to let go of, basically. And it's speaking directly to Juno and Pluto about, like I said, the sacrifice you need to make what Pluto was trying to get through your thick head right, so that those new beginnings, those new births, the new regeneration within your life of some form or another, where it is depending in your personal chart, can start to come into play. So this is all a very positive thing. Like I said, I'm being told, it's the blessing in disguise this week. You've just got to see through the disguise and don't let where it has been a little bit overwhelming in areas stop you. Don't let the fear of change stop you. This is blooming into a positive new thing. As long as you believe it. As long as you mark yourself, I deem myself positive. I deem myself with opportunities coming my way. I deem myself to be, on a winning streak. Even though these hard things had happened, it happened for a reason to put me on that winning streak. Now, you've got Mars and Venus, which is in Virgo, also speaking to Pluto. Like I said, everything explains why Spirit put it in a diamond. They put Chiron on the outside of the diamond. They put Juno and Pluto up here. They put Jupiter and brought it down to Cancer. So everything has to do with the home of who you are, inside and out, your karmic debts, inside and out, your Mercury with your communication inwardly, your fire with your communication inwardly, your core energy itself, and the sensitivity of Mars and Venus coming outwardly. It's about a complete flip from inside out, is what they're saying. Taking that and restoring your hope, restoring your faith, and knowing that it's coming forward this week. So it's about believing in yourself, and knowing that you have that winning streak coming your way. Just let it come and know that it will. Now, I will admit the challenges this week, though, is Juno and Pluto are also speaking to Sun, Mercury, and Vesta. So Pluto in a challenge is that commitment. Pluto and Juno, again, 10 degrees from each other, are in a conversation, which are still in Libra, about fighting yourself about your core energy, fighting yourself about your Vista, your personal fire, and your inner communication versus outward communication. Pluto is going to make some of those areas of that change a little bit more complicated, because it's forcing you to see things from that shadow energy that you don't want to see. And Juno is saying, stick with the commitment. Stick with the commitment. Stay motivated. And stay on it, basically. It takes sacrifice to make the commitment happen. Just like they say with marriage. Anybody can get married, but to have a long marriage, a successful, happy marriage, that takes sacrifice. You must work at it. Basically, this is why I call Juno love. Now, you also have Venus and Mars are speaking with Neptune, and they're getting into some of that nostalgia energy that's going to go against, making you want to move forward, basically. Not want to move forward, but they're going to tap onto those attachments and play with you magically in your mind as to what you need to let go of and what you don't. And Neptune can be playing with your magic there, especially within your personal fire, not your personal fire, within your sensitivities and that aggressive energy. Because Mars can be your SWAT team. It can be your defensive energy. It can be your warrior. So it's not always passionate action that's fire-filled of happiness. Mars is the masculine energy, and is masculine, and there's your diamond too, masculine and Venus, Mars and Venus, masculine and feminine, coming together, which can sometimes not be comfortable, because sometimes the yin and the yang don't want to see eye to eye, but it's important for them to come together in one balance. And this is why Neptune is showing it to you. It's showing it to you in the way of what it is you're not seeing, because that's still that blessing in disguise. The disguise is still revealing itself, basically. And then speaking again to that very Saturn and Lilith of those boundaries and those lessons that you need for those rules to create this properly. And Lilith is still going to be picking at where I'm not doing anything that I don't want to do, and that's that because I'm Lilith and I will do it my way. Damn it. Because that's how Lilith is. She's going to have it her way. Lastly, we have what we've had for a while, and you're going to have this for a while. Jupiter is speaking directly in opposition with Uranus. Uranus is in retrograde, and it's going to be in retrograde up until the end of the year, when it goes direct, and it is going to be in Aries, I think, March. I think in March is when it moves. But when it moves in March, it leaves Aries, and it's not going to be back for like another 67 years. Most of you won't be alive that long if you've never heard me say that. So this is Jupiter asking our higher selves to speak to our lower selves, and it's time to make our lower selves grow up, basically. And it's speaking to us about, on a mature, soulful level, being honest with who we are, being honest with bringing out our independence, our individuality, our freedom, and bringing that into our life, but in a mature, soulful way, from our higher self to our lower self. We're evolving, honey. But these are lessons that are coming in for us to learn as we set that new self, basically. And I do mean new self, because as it moves into the second house, it moves all the way up to the 12th, we are starting a new existence, basically, from Uranus, from our own personal independence, our independence, our inventive, and our uniquenesses are coming out. Our freedom is coming out and being able to express it in new ways, but in more healthy new ways. And Jupiter is in a challenge with it right now because it's trying to help us learn how to do this in a positive way. I love you. It should be a good week. Believe in yourself. Stay motivated to do the things you need to do, and everything will be just fine. I love you, and things are going the right direction, even when you don't believe they are. Put yourself on a winning streak. Tell yourself it's a blessing in disguise if you have to. It will help. I love you. Bye.